Hey guys, today we're going to review Void from Battleaxe. Void is a free or name your price script. Void was created as a null replacement, and here's why. Every time you create a null, it creates a new solid in your solids folder. So 10 nulls, that's 10 solids. And every time you create a solid or an adjustment layer, that's also more solids. And then when you consolidate two projects, you have even more solids. And Battleaxe said, there's gotta be a better way. And now there is, with Void. Okay, so I'll be honest, when I saw the tool, I thought that's a cool idea, but honestly, the solids folder isn't a huge deal for me. But I forced myself to use the tool for a couple projects, so I'm gonna let you know my true thoughts on the tool. Okay, so let's say I like the spacing of the UI here at the top, but maybe I want to scale it up or down. Well, I would have had to create a new null object, parent these to it, and then scale it up, and our anchor point wasn't right at the center, so then I have to move it. And if I go back to before I parented it, I could move it up so that it's right about the middle, but now it could be kind of hard to see the artwork below this null. All right, so now I'll go back before I created the null, and I'll select our layers and just click Void, which is our null replacement. And you can see it automatically parented the layers that we had selected to this void, and it basically acts as a null object, but it's a shape layer, so it didn't create anything in our solids folder. And now we can more easily scale this up. And this only took 3 clicks versus like 8 or 9 with the null. Now, my favorite parts of Void are these width, height, and offset options. I can offset the Y so that it doesn't cover up our artwork, and I can change the width and height, so now this is really nice to use as a controller. But you can see that the anchor point is centered in the artwork still where we want it, so it's easy to scale all of this up or down. I'll rename this void to UI top. And we're not actually going to make any changes to the look of this web page, but having this controller would allow us if we wanted to scale this up or if we wanted to animate it. So now I want to create a new void that all of the stuff on our website is parented to. And in this case, you can see that the website screenshot is really long, so the positioning of our void would get messed up as it tries to kind of calculate the center of all of this. So in this case, I'm just going to grab our window layer and click void, and then I'll parent all of the rest of the layers in our background to it, and I'll parent this UI top void to it as well. And I'll rename this void to website, and I'm going to offset it to the right and make some adjustments. Okay, so now if I hit P to bring up the position property for the website, you can see that it's basically in the middle of the screen since it's the center of the UI window. And if we come back to the script and hover, it will tell us that if we alt-click, it will create and hide a void layer. So let's do that. And you now see that the position of the website is zeroed out. If we scroll to the bottom, you can see that it made a hidden void layer at the same position, and because the original one is parented to it, the values are all zeroed out. So if we move this around, we know all we have to do is return to 0, 0 for it to be centered on the screen again. In fact, you can see that we can also rotate, scale it, move it, and then zero it out, which is really cool and included in the newest version of Void. So let's click on this screenshot from our actual website here. The Y position of this is kind of arbitrarily based off of how it fit onto the screen here. But check this out. I can alt click and zero this out. And now I can freely change the Y position to scroll. And I know that all I need to do is return to 0 to reset it to the top. And if I scale the controller for this website, you'll see that it still moves and is parented. So that null that it made at the bottom automatically parented to the void of the website. Now, I was actually going to talk about this as a feature request, and I realized I wasn't running the latest version of Void, and 1.0.4 actually includes this. They've also made it so that if you have layers already parented and they're selected, it will basically skip the child layers and only parent the parent layers to the hierarchy. Now, as Jake talked about in his video, and I'll link that below, the ability to zero these things out can be really useful for like character animation. But I found that it can be a big help in motion graphics and even visual effects. Finally, let's talk about adjustment layers and solids, since of course, solids are the reason we're here in the first place. Variant and volumes are the alternatives. So I can create a variant and put a CC vignette effect over the whole thing. And I can create a new volume and select it as the same color as our background solid here. And I'll go a bit darker and draw a mask. And you see this dark stroke happening here, and it's because I'm actually drawing a new shape on this shape layer. So drawing on it when you use the pen tool or shape layer will create a new shape instead of a mask. So when you select these tools, you then need to click on the Create Mask tool if you're drawing masks on variants and volumes. And if I select this solid at the bottom and come to replace solids in comp, you'll see that it can convert it to a shape layer and it's gone from our solids folder. So this is how you could clean up your solids folder. You can even do it all at once for your entire project, but you always want to be careful as some effects won't work the same on solids as they do on a shape layer. So I used variants and volumes in some of my motion graphics and visual effects projects, but I didn't get the same added level of productivity that I did from voids, especially because I still forgot to switch to create mask mode and I would draw a path on a shape layer. So that's void, and I discovered for me it's actually really useful. I'll probably mostly use it to replace nulls. The offset and resize features are fantastic. Now, someone in the comments asked about render times, and Jake in Motion did a test. It seems pretty minimal, but that's always something to think about. To me, the coolest features aren't exactly why it was created, which is to replace the solids folder. It's really the extra features that they've added. And you can really tell that they put a lot of thought into it. So good job, Battle Axe. And they are the creators of one of my favorite tools, Overlord. And if you didn't see my quick tip about my Illustrator workflow using that, I'll leave a link below. If you have any questions or would like to see more of these tool reviews in the future, please feel free to let me know and make sure to like and subscribe.
You feel alive, let's hit the dance floor. Don't work too hard, might break a backbone. Return of the Mac, the king is back though. Corvette and cash, I never like those. She saw the stone, you know how that go.